Hello everybody. In this video we can deal with factoring by GCF. So in other words, we're going to use the GCF to fully factor out a polynomial. Now, whenever we factor out the polynomial, the GCF multiplied by the final polynomial that we have results in the original polynomial that we had. So I just had to show you with a couple examples of that. So then we have factor each polynomial for case 1. Now the GCF for 20 and 15, it will be considered 5. Okay. Now GCF between x cubed and x squared will be x squared, because we're taking the exponent of we're taking the smallest exponent of the variable x. Okay. Now this one I will show you box method. Sorry. Box method. Okay. So 5x times what? 5x squared times what gives you 20x cubed. So here we would have 4x. And then 5x squared times what gives you negative 15x squared. Should be a negative 3. Okay. Now we have our GCF here, and we have our newly factored out polynomial here. So final answer, 5x squared, 4x minus 3. Okay, you can go ahead and double check by using by distributing across, and you should still result in the same polynomial that we started out with. So right here, 5x squared times 4x, 20x squared. 5 times 3, negative 15. X squared comes along for the right, and it's right there. Okay. Now, let's see which one. I'll show you case 2. Okay, so for case 2, we're asked to factor out each polynomial, and we can still use box method. 14x cubed plus 28x squared minus 42x. Okay. GCF. You should know how to find GCF of 14, 28, and 42. And it should be what? If you're having problems with GCF of finding GCF between numbers, look at the smallest number and find all the factors of it. So 114. 2, 7, 3, 4, that should be it. So looking at these factors, which one fits into all three numbers that we have? Does 1 fit into it? Yes. Does 14 fit into 28? Twice. Right here. Should fit into it 3 times. And we have 2. And then we have, fits into all of them. 7. Fits into 14, 28, and 42. 14. What's our biggest common factor here? It should be 14. Okay. Now, should be 14. Okay. So our GCF will be 14. Okay. Now remember, we have x cubed, x squared, and x. We take the smallest exponent, and all of our variables are the same. So we're able to pull out that 1x. Okay. So then this is our GCF for our whole entire polynomial. Now we're not finished yet because we're looking for the remaining polynomial that's up here. So 14x squared, no, I'm sorry, 14x times what gives you 14x cubed, which should be x squared. 14x times what gives you 28x squared, should be plus 2x. Now 14x times what gives you negative 42x. It should be a negative 3. Okay. So final answer, in this case, 14x x squared plus 2x minus 3. Okay. And that's our factored out polynomial for this case. Okay. Now we're just trying to look for the GCF here. We're just trying to look for the GCF here. Okay. Now, Let's just try and do a more complicated problem. We'll try out, let's go back up here. Alright, we're asked to factor each polynomial. You have 18w cubed b plus 27w to the fourth power b squared. Okay, now finding GCF between all these, just start looking at the exponents and the numbers, the coefficients. We have 27w to the fourth power b squared. Okay, put it in the box. Okay, what's the greatest common factor between 18 and 27? So we have 18, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, 3 and 6, and I believe that's it. So then, let's try to see. Let's try to use. Does 1 fit into 27? Yes. Does 18 fit into 27? No. Does 2 fit into 27? No. Does 9 fit into 27? Yes. 3 fit into it? Yes. Does 6 fit into it? No. Okay, so 9 will be our greatest common factor for our 18 and 27. So it's put off to the side, and it's part of our GCF. Okay. Now, we have w cubed and b, w fourth and b squared. Okay, now let's just try to look for each individual variable. So let's look at the w's first. Okay, so we have w cubed and w to the fourth power. Which is the smallest of the two? It should be w cubed. Okay, w cubed. It should be automatic. So we have next variable, b and b squared. Smallest variable of the two, with the smallest exponent, should be b. Okay. Now, if you just look closely, these variables are multiplying by each other. Okay. So whenever they're multiplying by each other, then we're able to pull them apart. Okay. Now, let's see. 9 times what gives you? Let's just start looking for our final polynomial. 9 times what gives you 18? 2. W cubed times what gives you w cubed? This should be the imaginary one. And we don't need to put it down because it's still going to result in the same answer. So b to the first power times what gives you b? So should be the imaginary one too there also. So this is just b 2. Now 9 times what gives you 27 plus 3. Okay. So w cubed times what gives you w to the fourth power? Should be a w. B to the first power times what gives you b squared? So it should be another b. Okay. So our final answer, 9w cubed b. It's 2 plus 3wb. And that will be our final answer. Okay. And here is our GCF. Okay. Now, last one. We have a couple more examples to go through. So we're asked to factor out each polynomial here. Now use our box method. Okay. So GCF between 12, 24, and 6. Look at our smallest number. So we have 1 and 6, 2 and 3, and that should be it. Now, looking at the biggest numbers, does 6 fit into it? 6 is the biggest number, and 6 is the biggest factor in 6. So let's look at that. So does 6 fit into 12? Yes. Does 6 fit into 24? Yes. So 6 fits into 6? Yes. So 6 would be our GCF. Okay. So the reason I'm looking at the smallest number is that since the smallest number here is 6, we should already know that the 6 will have the least amount of factors involved. So one of these factors is going to fit into 24 and 12. Okay, it's kind of a bit of a shortcut. If you have problems, you can go ahead and look for the GCF of 12, 24, and 6 and just start searching for all the numbers. Okay, this is just a small shortcut. So then we have x to the 5th power, x cubed, and x squared. Now they all have the same variable, x. They have different exponents. So which one are we going to take? The smallest one. smallest exponent. So we have 6x squared. So 6 times what gives you 12? 2. X squared times what gives you x to the 5th power? X to the 3rd power. X squared times what gives you x cubed? Should be another x. 6 times what gives you 24? Plus 4. 6 times what gives you 6? Plus 1, the imaginary 1. X squared times what gives you x squared, should be the imaginary 1 there again. So we'll be writing it again. So we have 6x squared, 2x to the 3rd, plus 4x, plus 1. And that should be it for that one. Okay. Now we still have more examples to do. Also, try and look at the signs to help you out too. You're gonna have to try and multiply to get the same signs, and that's inside the box. Okay. So we have a really long polynomial here. So we have 21w to the 4th power plus 7w to the 3rd power minus 28w squared minus 7w. Okay. Now let's just look at the smallest number of all of them. 21, 7, 28, and 7. So smallest number here is 7. GCF of 7. We have 1 and 7, and that's it. Okay. So 7 is already a prime number. So either the 1 or the 7 is going to be our GCF. So 1 fits into everything. 7 fits into 21. 7 fits into 7. 7 fits into 28. And so 7 would be our GCF here. Now, they all have W's, so we have W to the 4th power, W to the 3rd power, W to the 2nd power, and we have W to the 1st power. And which W are we going to take? It'll be the W to the 1st power. Okay, so now let's just start multiplying back out. 7 times what gives you 21? 3. W to the 1st power times what gives you W to the 4th power? W cubed. 7 times what gives you 7? 1. W times what gives you W cubed? W squared. Excuse me. 7 times what gives you a negative 28? Should be a negative 4. W times what? W times what gives you W squared? Should be a W. 7 times what gives you a negative 7? Negative 1. W times what gives you a W to the 1st power? Should be just be the imaginary 1. So right here, final answer, 7W to the 1st power is 3W cubed plus W squared minus 4W minus 1. Okay, that's a way of factoring it out. Now, okay, let's look at this one. So last one, factor each polynomial. 36a plus 18a cubed plus 6. Okay, then let's start looking. Smallest number here, 36, 18, and 6. Smallest number is 6. So let's start looking at all the factors of 6. So we have 1 and 6, 2 and 3. So then we have our biggest number here is 6. Does 6 fit into 36? Yes. Does 6 fit into 18? Yes. 6 fits into 6? Yes. So GCF will be 6. Okay, now we're looking for letters. Okay, so A cubed, and we don't have an A here. So what does that mean? We don't have A as a GCF amongst all of our terms. So we don't have an A involved in every single term. Okay, so we can't be a GCF. So we forget about that. And so we have GCF will just be 6. So 6 times what gives you 36A. So we have 6A. 6 times what gives you 18A cubed would be a positive 3A cubed. And then 6 times what gives you 6? Positive 1. So right here will be 6A plus 3A cubed plus 1. Okay, GCF. Okay, so whenever you multiply it back out or distribute, again, you should result in the same thing that's inside the box. Okay, alright, now I'll see y'all in the next video.